It's not often that a game like Keeper is released. A beautiful, poignant, narrative-focused adventure that proves that Double Fine is one of the best studios working in the industry today. But most importantly, Keeper is the best single-player co-op game ever devised. Hey everyone, it's the Caped Clinician, and today we're going to be talking about Keeper. A quick note before we begin, this review is going to be completely spoiler-free. If you'd like to see my full thoughts on the game, feel free to check out my Patreon. But for now, this video is safe for you to watch before playing the game. And if you're only interested in certain parts of this game, feel free to skip ahead. I've got timestamps in the video timeline and in the video description for you as well. So what is Keeper? Well, Keeper is the next game from Double Fine Productions, the same studio who made Psychonauts 2 a few years back, which in my opinion is one of the best games of this generation. Keeper is completely different. This is a bold, puzzle-focused, wordless story, which means all of the storytelling is done through the environment and character animations. There is not a single word uttered throughout the entirety of this game. Before Keeper released, I was worried that the choice of having no words would be a massive detriment to this game, but in fact, it completely transforms the experience and makes it one of the most memorable games of 2025. Now, I won't get too much into the story for risk of spoilers, but there is a story here. I know a lot of people might think that there is no story if there are no words, but the environment and the character animations paint a vivid narrative, and I absolutely loved it. It's one of the most beautiful and poignant stories in a video game that I've experienced in a very long time. To keep things brief, this is absolutely not just a game about a lighthouse and a bird. I mean, it kind of is, but it would be a reductive way of putting it. It's like if you said that Dune was just a movie about a guy and some sand, or that Oppenheimer was just a movie about a guy and a bomb. I suppose you'd be kind of right, but you'd be missing the whole point. At its core, Keeper is a story about transformation, how the people around you transform you, and how you, in turn, transform your environment. And that's part of why I think this is the best single-player co-op game ever made. A story about transformation almost begs to be played by more than one person. If you share the experience of this game, sitting side by side on the couch with a partner, a friend, or another loved one, you're going to get so much more out of this experience, out of this story, than you would ever get alone. Don't get me wrong, you can definitely play this game solo and have an amazing time, but the experience is completely elevated by sharing it with someone you love. I played this game side by side in essentially couch co-op with my girlfriend on our lounge TV, and we absolutely loved the experience, and the gameplay was part of that. On a fundamental level, Keeper is a very simple game. It's a lighthouse and a bird. The lighthouse can move around, but you don't actually have any control over the camera. It's a fixed camera perspective, so instead, the right stick is used to control where you shine the light. The bird can be used to help you solve certain puzzles with the simple tap of the X button on your controller. But just because the gameplay is simple doesn't mean that it's bland or boring. In fact, it's actually rather exciting. You see, the game is very puzzle focused, but those puzzles often transform you or your environment in unique and interesting ways. The fact that you control where the light goes is one of the greatest strengths of this game. When it came to South of Midnight, one of Xbox's other releases this year, I came away feeling like it should have just been a movie, because the gameplay wasn't good enough to warrant it being a video game. Keeper doesn't suffer from the same problem, and the fact that you control where the light goes is another contributing factor to it being amazing to play with a friend or another loved one. By illuminating different aspects of the environment, you're perceiving this piece of art in your unique way. You're looking at what you're interested in, but the person you're playing with is also going to do the same, and so you get a richer experience by seeing these little nooks and crannies and hidden secrets that you never would have found playing on your own. Now, the bulk of this game is puzzle solving, so did Double Fine get this right? Well, broadly speaking, I think they did a really good job. Puzzles are generally very inventive, and some of them have gimmicks that are going to stick with me for a long time, just because of how unique and memorable they were. But I will say that during the middle point of the game, maybe about halfway to 3/4 of the way through, the game does lull a little bit, and I think some of the puzzles can be a little bit repetitive. Double Fine might have benefited from cutting some of those puzzles out to hone the experience just that extra bit further. And I think hone is probably the best word to use in this situation. situation, because it's a short but sweet experience. It only took me about 5 hours to play with my girlfriend. It's probably going to run you between 4 to 5 hours in total. But ultimately, Double Fine have clearly taken a quality over quantity approach here, and I think that was absolutely the right way to go. Any longer and I think the game would have started to feel bloated, or it would have ballooned the game's budget massively and taken away from the focus on what's hopefully Psychonauts 3 coming next. Now, I touched a little bit on the camera earlier, and I wanted to talk a little bit more about that because I've heard that it's a point of contention for this game. The camera is fixed, as I mentioned. You have absolutely no control over the camera. It will dynamically shift to your position. Now, sometimes I think that's a really good aspect of this game. It frames everything in a very cinematic way and makes the game feel more immersive and more like you can lose yourself in the journey and the environment instead of needing to focus on the camera. But sometimes I do think the fixed camera is a hindrance, particularly in parts where the game has a lot of motion. That camera combined with the motion blur effect can induce a bit of motion sickness. You can turn the motion blur off, but a bit of camera control in the more open zones would have been a massive plus for this game. Often puzzle-focused games will have secrets and collectibles for you to find. So does Keeper have any of those? Well, as far as I could tell, Keeper only has one kind of collectible or secret, and those are statues scattered throughout the game. I'm not sure exactly how many statues there are, but it's very simple to activate these. You just need to shine your light on a flower nearby and a statue will assemble. Now, those aren't formally tracked in any kind of in-game collectible menu. The game is essentially HUD-less, and that is a really strong point of the game. But instead, every time you activate one of these statues, you'll get an achievement. I'm not sure if those achievements are on Steam as well as Xbox, but I played on my Xbox Series X and they popped reliably each time. Now, those achievements aren't just for set dressing. They actually have a little bit of the world's lore in the description of the achievement, so be sure to read those if you're thinking about playing Keeper and you ever stumble across one of these statues. I think collectibles and secrets is an area that Keeper could have improved upon a little bit. While I really love those statues, it would have been nice to get different things, like skins for the lighthouse or the bird, just to change up a few things as we play the game. On the topic of other extras, there's no option for anything like New Game Plus. There's also no combat in the game, which means that there's no difference in the difficulty options. Some games, like Silent Hill 2, offer differences in the puzzle difficulty, but Keeper doesn't offer that either. However, I don't really see that is a problem. The puzzles in Keeper are interesting, but they're not too fundamentally difficult, and I think that they would be able to be enjoyed by someone of any age range. Something that I would have liked to see, given the price of the game, is something like an art book, or any additional extras like behind-the-scenes videos included after you beat the game. New Game Plus wouldn't make too much sense, but any kind of extras menu for you to examine the 3D models of the game's characters would have been a really nice addition that would have fleshed out this package just a little bit more. And speaking of art direction, this game looks absolutely spectacular. It looked amazing on my television, and I'm sure it would scale down to smaller screens like monitors and the new Xbox handheld and look just as good. It's a really unique looking game, and I hope that Double Fine puts out an art book or some kind of poster so that I can add that to my collection as well. So my verdict on Keeper is that it's a must-play game, but if you have the opportunity, play it with a friend, a partner, or another loved one. You're going to get so much more out of the experience if you share it with somebody else, and the experience of playing a game in couch co-op is something that is a rarity these days, so I would really highly recommend it. I was blown away by the art direction, the beauty of the story, and how the pared back gameplay allows you to immerse yourself in the world. But in terms of puzzles, sometimes a bit more variety would have been appreciated. I think the camera is sometimes a strength, but can risk some motion sickness if you're prone to that kind of thing, so definitely check the accessibility menu. Collectibles were another area where I think the game was a little bit lacking. Just the addition of something like a character model menu after you've completed the game would have fleshed out the package and made it a lot more memorable, and something that I would want to keep on my Xbox for just a little bit longer after completion. But overall, Keeper is a must-play game, and in my opinion, the best single-player co-op game ever made. So what do you think? Have you played Keeper? Let me know what you think in the comments, and if you've not played Keeper, let me know if this review has made you more or less excited to play it. See you next time.